So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, today we're going to be talking about advanced notifications in this episode of Toolbox Tuesday. I'm your presenter, Ben, as you've probably seen before. So excited to chat with you today on some of the great features of our advanced notifications application. This agenda, if you've been with us before, is probably pretty familiar. We're first quickly going to go through the gaps of Business Central and how our solution will help fill these gaps. We're then going to go into an actual live demo of advanced notifications, which will consist of a majority of the presentation. Will only be in the PowerPoint for about 5 minutes total for the gap solutions, and then the next steps and the resources that we'll go through at the end of the presentation. The next steps will include things like downloading your free 30-day trial, as well as some additional resources that you can use to be successful with this application in your environment. One of which is videos that we post on YouTube, things like this, right? We'll be recording today. Gina, if you can double check that, and we'll be publishing this recording on YouTube in case you have to leave early or you'd like to show this to any of your other colleagues. Q&A, I have this at the end, but like I said, please ask your questions throughout the presentation. We will answer those as we go. Just use that chat box that we've identified. Put your questions or comments in there, and Gina will interrupt me as we go in order to make sure that your questions are getting answered throughout the presentation. So let's jump into it. Let's start with the gaps and some of the things we've noticed and improved upon within Business Central. So the first is no ability to add pop-up notes for customers, vendors, and items. I should also add ship to addresses in there because we're going to be talking about that today. The second is no ability to add on the fly notes to transactions and create workflows for tagged users. We'll get into that in a second. And the final is no ability to tag individuals or groups directly within Business Central with automated emails. So these are three things that we're going to be addressing today. And we've actually got two slides for our solution today. The first slide here and first bullet point, we have rich text HTML notes for customers, for vendors, for items, purchase and sales documents, production orders, you name it, right? So we'll show these in our live demo. The next thing that we've got for you today is notes that can trigger based on events occurring in the system. So think credit limits exceeded or the customer's getting near their credit limit, job queue failures, things like this, right? Proactively getting triggers, getting emails, getting notifications so that you can check these things real quick, use them as a to-do, and then you're good to go moving forward. We talk about this a lot in our free health check as well, which is another great app out there. So highly recommend checking that out as well for job queue failures. The third is ad hoc notes that gives users the ability to tag others. So we'll show this today. You can literally go on a posted sales invoice, let's say, and say, at Ben, please make sure they pay this today. I'm going to get an email when that happens. We'll show that in a live demo. This next one, users and groups on purchase and sales documents, master data records, and production orders on the fly. We'll talk about how that works again in the demo throughout today. And then finally, before our last slide, notes that are automatically emailed to a user or group with a link to the exact record in Business Central that the note was created on. So think of this, we're creating an ad hoc note, Ben gets the email, and I can actually click a link in that email, which will show that will bring you back to that exact transaction within Business Central. A few more before we jump into the live demo. We've got the ability to view your own notifications on the Business Central Rule Center. We've got the ability to auto save and copy notes to individual transactions pop-up notes are occurring from. So let's say we're going to demo using a customer on a sales order today. If the customer's pop-up note says, make sure to ship this out expedited, not only is it going to pop up for me, but I have the ability to save that on the transaction, a very useful feature here. And then finally, the ability to block emails or exclude users from receiving notifications where necessary. So a lot of solutions that we're going to be talking through today. I'm going to try to simplify it in this demo. And again, if there's any questions as we go, please let me know and I'll answer them on the fly. So let's jump over to Business Central. Gina, just want to confirm that you can see this real quick.
Yep, all good.
Awesome. So the first thing that we're going to do is take a look at pop-up notes. Now, I know we usually start with the setup. However, I'm going to come back to the setup at the end because I think the simplistic workflow to start with really illustrates what we're looking for today. So let's say I go into a customer, and I can either create a new customer or go into an existing customer. For this sake, I'm going to go into an existing customer because I know that this customer has a pop-up note on its record, right? One of the features here is that that customer pop-up note can pop up when I go into the customer card, as well as when I use it on a sales order, which we'll show here in a second. So customer's note pops up, just says, make sure you check the shipping address when orders are going out. Want to make sure that those addresses are correct so that customers are getting the goods at the right locations. And then orders for this customer are shipped out every Wednesday. Okay, great. So we know that if it's Tuesday, those shipments are going to go out tomorrow. If it's Friday, they might have to wait until next week since we're doing this every Wednesday, right? Just a reference point that every single time I come into this customer, let's show that again. That note is going to pop up so that it's always top of mind as we're working with this customer's customer card. So again, let's jump in here. Just click on customer 100. And that pop-up note, give it a second here, is going to trigger again on this customer card. So that's step one. If you want to add or edit these pop-up notes, you'll see up here under home, if you click add pop-up note, this will pop up the existing pop-up note that we can see here that we just saw on the customer card. And we have some additional settings down here, right? So do we want to pop it up on a new sales order? Do we want to pop it up on an existing sales order? So if there's a working sales order, every time you open that sales order, it's going to pop this note up again. Do you want to pop it up on the view customer, which is what we just saw? And then do you want to save it on the sales order or sales invoice? Just think of that as the sales document, which I'm also going to enable. So we're going to create a sales order here in a second. And we'll see that this note not only is going to pop up when customer 100 is utilized, but it's also going to save into our fact box. So let's take a look at that here in a second. Before we do so, I want to talk about one new feature that we've added, which is on ship to addresses. So let's go into the customer ship to. I've got a note here on the Houston address. And again, similarly to that customer card, if I pop this open, it's going to pop up the ship to address. I'm just saying, hey, this is a ship test pop-up note for the Houston address. Make sure to pack extra ice. It's hot there, right? Okay, so we're going to use that as well on our test transaction, both seeing that you can be notified on customers as well as ship tos. Now, this functionality is going to work the exact same on vendors when you're doing purchasing documents, as well as items. So we're going to use an item today. It's going to pop up as well, and then we'll kind of wrap it up on the pop-up notes and move to the next piece. So let's go ahead and create a sales order next. So I'm going to jump back to the home screen here. All right, let's hit escape one more time. All right, so let's go ahead and create a sales order. So everything I'm going to show to start is just out of box Business Central, right? We come into our sales orders, we click new. We're going to then select our customer number, customer name. So let's click that first customer that we were just playing with. And the first thing, as we should see here, is make sure the shipping address going out, orders are shipped out every Wednesday. Exactly what we saw on the customer card, right? Now this is notifying us as we're creating a sales order for this customer. Now, I didn't select it to pop up every time the sales order is opened. So if I go out and come back in, it's not going to continuously pop up, which is totally fine. Let's continue down here. Item, right? Okay, let's sell them the Microsoft Surface 8. Now, I didn't show you the setup because it's the exact same as doing it on a customer level. However, here you can see item pop-up note. Make sure to try and upsell the keyboard and the mouse package, right? Okay, we're selling a Surface 8. Want to add that, add on keyboard and mouse. That's great. That notifies me. I can remember that very easily. Let's go for the keyboard and mouse package. And we'll just do quantity of 1 on each of these. And so far, so good, right? Let's jump out of this order and come back in just to kind of show what we just proved out. Let's sort by document date. Let's come back into this order that we just did. And again, we've got the two pieces, the two items right here. Now, the other thing you notice is that that did not pop up again because we have that turned off. Of course, that's very easy to turn on if you'd like to do so. And one of the coolest things, in my opinion, is that we also have the ability to save it in the fact box. So not only did that pop up, but it saved it to indicate, when it was created, who created it, all that fun stuff. And it's saving it for us to see every time we come in. Now, this is also going to flow through to the posted documents, which we'll see here in a second. Now, the last thing that I want to do before posting this is go ahead and come down to our ship to. Let's do an alternate, and let's send this to Houston. All right, it's fine. Ship to pop-up, again, test pop-up, send the extra ice to Houston. It's hot there. All right, we're going to save that, close that. And at this point, we can go ahead and post our order. Let's just ship and invoice it. All right, sure. Let's look at the posted order here. We're going to actually jump to our email here in a second because I should have just gotten a handful of different emails. We noticed that this is now a posted sales invoice, right? And all of our notes just flowed through, right? We've got our make sure the shipping address is right, goes out every Wednesday, make sure to upsell the keyboard and the mouse, and make sure here's the test for the Houston ship to address, right? So all of that being kind of flowing through here to our posted sales invoice. And if I pop up my email real quick, let's see here. Got way too many emails in here, but let's take a look. So we've got sales order shipment alert. Sales order has been shipped, right? So we'll talk about this in a second. This is actually an advanced notification triggering on the shipment of a sales order. I'm the salesperson on the order, so it's notifying me here that this has shipped. I should also have in another email, right? I've got myself as the salesperson and a few other things. So let's move this over just so we can see them all in the same place. Uh, this is a test sales shipment coming to a few folks internally, right? I've got a lot of different things going on at the same time, but just showing all sorts of different emails that you can get from advanced notifications. And then I've also got, this is actually going out of invoice and statement delivery. So as we shipped and invoiced the order, we have an external link going out, including a pay link down here that I have with Paystand, and that we have an amount due of $1302.50, as well as the actual sales invoice here. So again, full end-to-end internal notifications as well as external notifications. Disclaimer though, this is a different tool that we're sending the invoice with. However, everything else was going through advanced notifications. So as the salesperson, I've now been notified that my sales order has shipped. That's great. I'm going to come back into Business Central, and on this posted sales invoice, again, I'm kind of going to be talking to myself through this demo because we have to, right? In order to show this, but I'm going to say, okay, at Ben or whoever, is on your AR team, let's say your AP team, Ben, please make sure they pay today as everything has been shipped out, right? So just a note, and I'm going to show some rich text HTML capabilities. I'm just going to go out to my website here and grab that. So let's save that. I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller. Let's go there, actually. We'll save that and close it. So now we're kind of gradually shifting or transitioning from pop-up notes, which is topic number one, to ad hoc notes, right? And we even saw an advanced note or an event driven note, which was that automated salesperson email on ship, right? So now, again, I'm going to see all of my original pop-up notes here, as well as now an ad hoc note. So it's saying, Ben, please make sure they pay today. Everything's been shipped out. Okay, that's great. We see the date and timestamp here. Hopefully that's not too small. Let's see if I can zoom in for a second. We've got date timestamp that you can see here, as well as who made the notification, right? So at this point, let's jump back into my email. Again, I'm going to be talking to myself a little bit here, but we now got that email, right? Business Central advanced note from sales invoice header PS 103980, right? Okay, that's great, but I probably want to now see this actual invoice that's been posted, right? Naturally, you'd copy this, go into your posted sales invoices, but that's way too manual, right? So we put a link right here that just says click this link to open the page. Now, if I click this link, should do exactly as we've been prompted. It's just going to open that same record up inside of Business Central to save you time and make it so that you essentially don't have to search throughout the system as you're going. So give it a second here to load. My internet seems to be extra fast today, so just taking a second there. But same order, right? The Surface 8, the keyboard and the mouse, got that Houston address, and all of my notes are good to go here. Now, maybe I can just close the loop, And again, I'm going to keep talking to myself, but we'll say, Ben, thanks. This has been completed, right? And all of that throughout the life cycle is going to be stored in that fact box. So as we go, let's just check my notes and check the time real quick. We've gone through the pop-ups, the advanced notes, and some of the ad hocs. So it's going to go to that same order. And again, like I said, we can use that URL to jump straight into
We
that
did get
posted
a
sales.
great question when you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
said
yeah.
it.
Go for it.
So the alert emails came from Ben. If we want to have them come from Dynamics System account, do we need to purchase a Dynamics license for the alerts account, or do we need to create an Outlook, meaning we need to have an M365 license for the account too?
I'll have to check into the Business Central piece of it. I know that we're tapping into the out-of-box Business Central emailing function. So again, it's going to, at a minimum, require that you have your email accounts set up. And then again, an additional nuance, right, is who the default is here. So again, I've got current user as my default, which is just going to send it from Ben. If I had admin defaulted, that would answer your other question, which one definitely wouldn't need a Business Central license, but it would need an active M365 or O365 license, whatever Microsoft's calling it this week, right? So you would need that. I don't know if that answers the question. And Gene, I'm having a tough time seeing the chat with my solo screen today, but let me know if that helps.
Dave, that was a great question. Let us know if that answered it.
Awesome.
Yep, perfect.
And let's go into the setup real quick as well, since we do have some additional pieces here. I was just trying to see, I haven't set up individually the send from. I believe it's just pulling off of the standard Business Central defaults up top there. But I can definitely get back to you there because there is not a setup here. So my assumption is that it's just being sent from whatever you have defined as the default at the system level. All right. Any other questions, Gina, as we go?
All good right now.
Awesome. So some of the other things that I wanted to show, and again, I want to spend the first 10 minutes or so inside of actually going through a process with a pop-up note, which we showed two of, an advanced note, which we showed the shipping this to the salesperson, an ad hoc note where we actually tagged a user. Behind the scenes, right? How do we make all of that happen? Well, if you go to advanced notifications setup, there's a handful of different things here that we can utilize in order to start making those pieces active. Of course, if you are new to this and you've just downloaded it, make sure to generate that demo key. That'll give you a 30-day free trial. And then after you've purchased, we can give you a 12-month activation key, which you would activate right here. Now, as we were going through those and tagging people individually, you will have seen a pre-populated list of folks that were coming up there, right? That's driven by this user setup, right? So Ben, that was going to that BC email at ERP Connect Consulting. I could have also tagged Carly. I could tag Grant, and then I also, you probably saw a fourth one. That was coming from the email groups, right? So I also had one called buyers. Now, buyers, you could put multiple emails, right? You just have to separate them with a semicolon here. And then I could just say at buyers, and then it would send one email out to everyone that's in this buyers group, right? So I can also indicate that it's an external email address. Maybe you want some folks outside of Business Central to get these emails. That's totally okay. They, of course, won't be able to utilize the links that take them back to Business Central if they aren't an active Business Central user. But this is just a nice way to tag folks as external versus internal. And again, you can have as many groups as you'd like here. That's all just a text field. And then you'd put the actual emails in the group field over here. So those are going to control who can essentially use that at. It's kind of like social media, right? If you're on LinkedIn or Twitter or anything like that, you just use the at sign, and then the names will pop up, giving you the list of people that you can choose from. And again, we talked about this in the PowerPoint, but you can do things like blocking emails if you just want, for some reason, them to have the emails in the system and get the system indicators, but block actually getting the emails out of the system. And you can also exclude from the lookup. So maybe you want to have them for historical purposes or audit purposes, but they don't work here anymore. And we just want to exclude them from that lookup so that they're not seeing this anymore. Additionally, we've got a placement on the fact box. So some people like to see it before, some people like to see it after. Basically, this is just, you want to see it at the top of your fact box or the bottom of your fact box, since there are many additional things that you're probably utilizing in the fact box each day. And then we've got some import functions if you are coming from Nav and coming to Business Central or any other system and you have your notes in some sort of CSV or Excel file. We've got some functions there. You'd have to work with our team, of course, to make sure that that's in the right format, but we do have some additional functionalities there as well. And then finally, the salesperson notifications here. We talked about this when I shipped that order in the demo just a few moments ago. And here you just have salesperson by salesperson. How do you want to be notified, right? For purchase receipts, sales orders approvals, sales orders shipped. So here I have notify on shipment. So anytime a shipment goes out for any order that I'm the salesperson on, they're going to get a notification. Of course, you can just say do not notify on any of these and it will not notify them. It won't send them the email or any of that kind of stuff. So a lot of base setup that you can do here, just kind of cookie cutter. And then if you want to fine tune it, you can change things here user by user, salesperson by salesperson, as we saw. So that's kind of it for those top level setups. We're going to go through the rest of these here real quick. On general, again, we just have some different notification options, some send email options, some print options. Again, these are more nuanced as we would actually get into an implementation or a setup. I would just recommend leaving them as they come when you install it to get started. And then again, this placement on fact box we already talked about. Now, this pop-up notification piece here is very important as it drives exactly what we saw today. I was going a little bit crazy earlier because I was trying to prep for this and my ship tos weren't working, but they weren't working because I didn't have them activated. I had turned them off for a previous demo. So again, I say these are important because if you do plan on using items, customers, ship tos, vendors, or even these new production orders that we have down here, you'll want to make sure that they're of course activated and then any of your defaults are set. So again, these are just the defaults when you create a new note on a customer, let's say, it's going to default that they pop up on the sales order, they save on the sales order, and all of that good stuff, right? We've also got some credit limit pop-ups that we'll talk about here in a second as we get down to our advanced notes. But again, just making sure that these, of course, are activated as you get in there, and then the defaults are set. So that's pop-up notes, just a quick brief on the setup there. Very easy to set up, just a handful of toggles. Now, the advanced notifications, these are what I like to call event-driven notifications. So we'll focus on the sales order shipment up here. So you can see here that I've got a few different options. I've got none, which most of the others are just from a demo standpoint. The sales order ship is kind of the easiest one to show. So you can do none, which simply just will not create any notes, right? We can do email, which we saw today. We have advanced note, which is actually going to save and give an advanced note in a fact box or a queue on your home screen, and then email and advanced note, which I have here, which is just going to do both, right? And then what does that email template look like? So if I just click the yes here, I'm just saying sales order shipment alert, sales order number to customer has been shipped, right? You can use some of these wildcards in order to dynamically populate the body of the email as those sales order shipments are going out. Then you'll notice there's no URL here. That's just automatically being added to the bottom of all of the emails dynamically as they're going out. So you can do that for any of these that you want to set up. So if you're in your demo instance and you're just playing around with this, come in here, select the ones that you want to turn advanced notes on for, and then as you start to process those transactions, you'll start to see those advanced notes coming to either your email or the notes section in Business Central, depending on what your setup is there. Some other nice ones that we have here. So like I said, we got purchase receipts, we've got sales order shipments, some prepayments, some sales order approvals, and purchase order approvals. But some of my favorites are the negative inventory warnings. Here you'd actually set an email. Potentially this is your warehouse manager or somebody that works very closely with your warehouse manager or closely with inventory that wants to know if inventory is going negative. Of course, we've got health checks and things like that we've shown previously how to prevent this. We got inventory adjustments. So if inventory is adjusted and it's above the inventory adjustment threshold, again, somebody's proactively getting an email. My personal favorite here is the credit limit, right? So we've got the standard BC function. We can auto block and do a threshold check, or we can auto block post and do a threshold check. And essentially what this is again, we can do the ship, invoice, or all like standard Business Central. and then what the credit limit threshold is. So what this means is think of 90 as 90% or the 90th percentile. So if a customer's credit limit was $100,000, when that customer gets to $90,000 or over, that's when it's going to start sending the threshold notifications to this email right here. And then, of course, once it goes over, that's when you can auto block it and it's always going to do the threshold check, right, on these options. But you then have the ability to auto block it once it exceeds that limit. So again, I know a lot of people using credit limits out there. That's a very nice to have.
So Karen has a great question. Can negative inventory be sent to different people depending on warehouse?
Can you guys hear me all right? Seem to have lost connection. Okay, you guys can hear me. Great. Let me jump back in there and get my train of thought. I think there was, okay, you guys can hear me now. I can't hear you, Gina. So if you need anything, just drop it in the chat there. Let me minimize this again. Sorry for that. There. All right. Was there a question? Let me read through the questions here real quick. All right. The alert emails came from Ben. If we want to have them come from the Dynamics system account, we already talked about that one. Can negative inventory notices be sent to a different email by location? Currently, no, there cannot be, but I do like that as a additional enhancement for the future. So I definitely will take that down as a note. It looks like the same question there. Again, can negative inventory be sent to different people depending on the warehouse? So again, the answer currently is no, but seeing that now 2 people have asked the same question, I do like that, and I will take it down as a note to add in the future. Again, right now for that negative inventory, it's just going to be same functions as we have above, email advanced note or email advanced note. Put the email in here that you want to send that to. So one thing you could do is just put 2 emails potentially there, just in case you want to make sure that whoever needs to look at that is looking at it, or maybe just the overall manager that can then look at it and delegate it down to the specific warehouse. But of course, if you do have multiple warehouses, that obviously could become a little tedious, but better than nothing to get started, right? At least getting emails for that negative inventory, so then you can be more proactive about it. Can sales shipment notice to a sales rep be tagged to a specific customer, not all customers, for the sales rep? So right now, again, you can limit sales rep by sales rep here, who gets what. So for the sales rep, it'd be an all or nothing, right? So the sales rep either would get all of the notifications for their orders or not on a specific shipment going out. If the customer's salesperson is enabled here, they will get those notifications, and it simply will just say that they've shipped. Some customers need more service than others. Totally understand. Again, the way it's built right now is that if they are tagged here and they have notify on shipment here as an example, they will get a notification as that shipment goes out, assuming that their salesperson is tagged to that customer. So good question there. All right, as more folks continue to ask, I'll answer some more questions here in a few minutes. But I'm going to come back in and explore the last 2 things that I want to talk about today before we wrap up. We've got about 10 more minutes or so until the 45-minute mark, which all of these we shoot for 45 minutes. So job queues, these are going to be similar to the advanced notes up here, but function slightly different, right? So the first we have is job queue errors. This is probably one of the most popular features that I continue to see folks use that are using advanced notifications, right? If a job queue fails, email me, right? We talk about this all the time on our health check. Job queues failing are typically a huge issue that can be easily resolved, right? I always like to think of currencies as an example. If your currencies aren't updating because your job queue is failing, you could be exposing yourself to quite a bit of FX rate adjustments at the end of the month because they're not calculating correctly day by day, right? So simply by turning this on and putting an email address in the job queue errors piece here is going to allow an administrator to get notified when those fail. I know I use them internally, and again, a great feature to be proactive. Expiring quotes, expired quotes, sales orders not shipped, sales orders not invoiced, purchase orders not received, and purchase orders not invoiced. These are going to be a little bit different than what we saw above because they're going to have a date formula associated here, right? So a number of days, days to send after, right? So this is now listening in the system to say, hey, these quotes are about to expire, or these quotes have expired, or hey, here are all your sales orders that have not shipped, or maybe sales orders that have been shipped but not invoiced. After 2 days, I want to get an email letting me know that we have things that are shipped not invoiced, or maybe again just not shipped in general. And same here, we can notify you on an email, an advance note, or an email and an advance note to keep the process moving, right? If you've shipped things out, you want to make sure those invoices are going out. So let's send a notification, and we control that with the job queue so that the job queue can run at 4 p.m. every day, or 8 a.m. every day, or multiple times a day if you'd really like it to. So that's totally up to you, but we're building standard job queues in order to allow you to run those functions. And then the last thing, again, these are kind of difficult to show on a demo, of course, just because we don't necessarily can't just wait around for these and time them perfectly for them to not ship, but you get the idea here. It's going to send you an email like we saw with the others. And the last thing that we have here is the ability to offload this to Azure Blob Storage. So we've got some additional setup instructions in our user guide, but if you've checked out our other application called Advanced Document Attachments, you will probably have seen huge speed increases in storage offloads to Azure Blob Storage. We're going to offer the same in advanced notifications without needing to purchase those additional tools. So what this is going to do is it's simply going to offload all of those notifications that we've been creating to Azure Blob Storage so that it will not hit your Business Central database storage capacity. And of course, if you're just doing text, it's not a whole lot, but you saw me throw in some images into those rich text HTML templates or pop-ups or ad hocs, right? And all of that, of course, as you grow over time, especially if you've got a lot of users in there, creating notifications. We see this all the time, especially because once people download it, it tends to spread like wildfire, and people are constantly just talking on orders on Business Central because it's much easier to communicate than going back and forth. Copying and pasting an email, that can add up fairly quickly. So if you do anticipate you're going to have a high volume, we highly recommend using the Azure Blob Storage piece here. I have it turned off in our sandbox, but I have it turned on in our production instance using it in practice. So that wraps up the live demo. I've got like 3 more minutes that I could allocate to the live demo before getting back into the PowerPoint. So if anybody wants to see anything one more time, please let me know, and we can jump to that real quickly here. Otherwise, I will take it home and jump into the PowerPoint. All right, and Gina, if there's anything else, please just drop it in the chat. Again, having some technical difficulties here with the microphone, so I will continue to monitor that chat as we go, and it does not look like there's any additional questions at this time, so I'm going to jump back into the PowerPoint now. All right, so that wraps it up for the live demo. The next steps that I want to talk about, downloading that 30-day free trial into your environment, right? So we already talked about this a little bit on the call, but if you're a partner, go ahead and get it downloaded in your demo environment if you want to share some of these tools with your clients. And if you're an end user, of course, just drop it in your sandbox, download that 30-day free trial, and watch our activation video, which can be found on YouTube. We'll show that in a second here, but simply go to the setup page and generate the demo key like we showed in the demo. I will grab that real quickly here from YouTube. And again, all of this content and this recording even can be found on our channel towards the end of today. So we've got a ton of videos, 119 to be exact, and I'm going to copy and paste this activation walkthrough into the chat right now, and we will continue to move forward. Resources. So we have our product page as well as app source. So the product page is going to show you things like pricing, and then they're both going to show things like summary, screenshots, and have our user and setup guides. We just talked about the YouTube channel. This will all be linked through our product page as well as app source, or you can go directly to it like I just did by searching ERP Connect Consulting, and all of those videos will be on our YouTube channel. The next thing we've got is a product guide, which I can also drop in the chat here at the end of the call. That's going to have a full-blown fit gap analysis for all 36 of our tools, as well as have standard configuration and training times, which you can also find on our website. So a lot of times people want to know how long these things are going to take in order to set up, as well as be trained on. All of that is going to be transparently listed both on our website and our product guide. Now, as a thank you for coming today, if you've downloaded this either in your production or sandbox environment, you'll have unlocked the ability to leave a review on AppSource. Now, if you leave a review and make it public and send us a screenshot of that, we'll send you a $25 Amazon gift card. So again, as a thank you for coming today, feel free to leave those reviews out on AppSource and we'll send that gift card your way. We also have another deal for anybody who is new to the toolbox or wants to explore additional tools that only maybe has one today. We're doing a buy one, get one free through the end of the month. So if you're on our website and you buy an application and use code BOGO, that will enable the second tool that you're buying to be totally free for your first year. So definitely check that out. And then upcoming events. Appreciate you being on this Toolbox Tuesday. We know a lot of you come to all of our Toolbox Tuesdays, which we of course really appreciate as well. We've got a health check coming up on June 24th. That's going to be our next live demo. We're going to be going through everything end to end for our subledger to general ledger checks, our customer analysis, our job queues like we talked about today. We've got about 25 things that we'll touch on in that webinar. It'll be about 45 minutes as well. So we highly encourage you to join. And that application is totally free. So again, we've got a ton of folks using it and it adds quite a bit of value, especially being a free application out in the marketplace. I know it's a little bit further off, but our next in-person event is Summit down in Orlando. That's going to be October 19th through 23rd, and we look forward to seeing everybody there as well. That wraps up the presentation for today. If there are any other questions, I will stick around and answer them. Please just drop them in the chat again, because it looks like my speakers for some reason are not working, but really appreciate everybody being here, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good day.